bro.
That's that bitch.
Oh my God. Like, oh,
It's clear now that the fairy tale relationship between Gypsy, Rose Blanchard and Ken has completely crumbled. What was once portrayed as a loving, picture-perfect family has become an undeniable mess, and it's no longer a question of whether they're still together, but how long they've been faking it. For months, the signs have been blinking like neon lights, but now, everything is out in the open. Their carefully constructed narrative, shaped by Instagram posts and curated moments, has finally fallen apart, and what we're left with is the raw reality behind their performative relationship. One of the most revealing moments came when Gypsy and Ken were caught on camera during a seemingly innocent family walk, which should have been a wholesome outing. A baby in a stroller, the sun shining, two parents supposedly in love.
Okay.
I would eat it again.
And that's one of the things that we love doing together the most, is like trying new foods, cooking new foods at home, you know, expanding her palate to all these different worlds that she's never tried before.
I'm Gypsy.
And I'm Ken.
And this was Gypsy Tries It.
Are we for real right now? You all know that was damage control, right? We know that was damage control because we all watched the first episode, and we know that Ken made a fool out of Gypsy during the first episode. And now they need to fix it.
But what appeared in the footage was far from the fantasy they'd painted online. Ken was walking ahead, completely disengaged and distant, as if he had something far more important to do than be with his family. His steps were hurried, his body language closed off, and it was as if he was mentally checked out, going through the motions of being there. He didn't even acknowledge Gypsy, who was trailing several steps behind, pushing the stroller alone. Her posture was upright, her face carefully composed, but the forced smile told a different story.
She was obviously hurt. She went into that bathroom. She was caught sniffling. We all heard it. They heard it. But you see, Ken didn't hear it. Ken didn't know she was putting on the victim act until he watched the first episode with her. And now all of a sudden, they are...
It was the kind of smile you wear when you're trying to keep up appearances, even though everything feels wrong inside. There was no warmth, no shared moments between them, no quiet exchanges, no affectionate glances, nothing that would indicate they were a couple, let alone a family. They looked like two people who barely knew each other, let alone were in love. To an outsider, it almost seemed like Gypsy was walking with a stranger, not the father of her child. And what made it so revealing was the fact that it wasn't staged or scripted.
Let's all be real right now. We all know that was damage control. Nice try, guys, but sorry, Jip. Your man made a fool out of you. But, you know, I think it's really funny that he's treating you the way you treated Ryan. I'm just saying. There's that.
There were no producers calling the shots, no filters to smooth over the tension. This was an unfiltered, unplanned moment, captured on a random sidewalk, and it showed exactly what their relationship had become. When the cameras are rolling and people aren't aware, the masks slip and the truth leaks out. And what we saw was undeniable. Ken was clearly uninterested, emotionally and physically distant, while Gypsy was putting on a brave face, trying to hold it together for the sake of the public and perhaps herself or the baby.
Blanchard to the front of the stage because y'all are trying to play games and you think I don't know. I'm about to out you real quick so you know I know. Okay? I want us to believe that you didn't edit anything out of it when the same scene has the same shirt on but her hair looks completely different, the hair color and everything. This is clearly different. This is clearly...
But Gypsy didn't let the moment pass quietly. She quickly turned to her go-to strategy, emotional manipulation. Soon after the video went viral, she posted a TikTok, looking exhausted, claiming that she'd been up all night dealing with a colicky baby. Her eyes were heavy, her voice soft and barely audible, and her face was made up to look like a woman on the brink of collapse, trying to stay strong. At first glance, it seemed like a raw, unfiltered look at the struggles of new motherhood. But the more you looked at it,
baby shower or right after the baby shower. This is clearly a whole different time. Lifetime, why are you playing in everybody's face? And also, Lifetime, I have physical proof of them breaking up. If it wasn't that, I would be...
The more it became clear this wasn't just a vulnerable moment, it was a calculated emotional appeal. And the target of that appeal, Ken, of course. While Gypsy was documenting her sleepless nights and the stress of caring for a sick baby, Ken was miles away in Mississippi, soaking up the sun and enjoying a solo vacation, posting carefree selfies like he didn't have a newborn at home. This wasn't a spontaneous outpouring of emotion. It was a deliberate play for sympathy, designed to pull at Ken's heartstrings and in turn, the audience's. And it worked. Just hours later, Ken posted a carefully crafted photo on social media, showing him with Gypsy and the baby.
So I would suggest you stop playing in my face and everybody else's face. Because it's giving bootleg TV, it's giving scam, it's giving low budget, it's giving you buy a $5 DVD on the side of the street in New York City. That's what it's giving. It's giving real low budget. Okay? I've been real silent.
All smiles, as if nothing had ever been wrong. The narrative had shifted. Ken was no longer the absent partner enjoying his freedom. He was now the doting father, the devoted husband, the man who had come home to support his family. But this wasn't done out of love. It was done because he was pressured into it. Gypsy had guilted him into appearing like the man she needed him to be, all for the cameras. And that's where the real issue lies. If you have to manipulate someone emotionally to get them to show up for their family, then something is seriously wrong. What Gypsy did wasn't a gentle reminder to Ken about his responsibilities as a father.
So play all day. But I'm not the one. Trust, when I get on this app and say something, I know what I'm talking about. Lifetime, you can play all day long, but you ain't gonna play with me. Go play with Gypsy.
It was an emotional manipulation tactic, pulling at his guilt to get him to perform the role she wanted him to play. That's not intimacy, that's desperation. It's a relationship built on pressure, not affection. And what's worse, it shows a dynamic where love has been replaced with tactics, where presence has to be earned through guilt, and where the real emotions are buried under layers of performance. Gypsy and Ken may have tried to sell us on their happy family, but the cracks have become too big to ignore. What was once a carefully orchestrated performance has now fallen apart, piece by piece. Lifetime, which many initially saw as a platform for Gypsy Rose Blanchard's redemption, ultimately failed to deliver the truth that fans were hoping for.
She broke the TV, calls Ken in, and he immediately says, "Did you throw something at it?" I'm going to play it for you, but I'm going to tell you exactly why she posted this. And it wasn't a post of fun.
The network had promised clarity, teasing viewers with the idea that the show would finally reveal the full, unfiltered story of her life. But instead of providing transparency, what they gave us was chaos. Heavy editing and carefully crafted scenes left more confusion than answers, and the show, which was supposed to be a deep dive into Gypsy's world, turned into a manipulated narrative. One of the most glaring examples of this came in a particular scene where Gypsy, now a brunette, talks emotionally about her unborn child. She expresses her desire for her baby to grow up in a loving and warm family environment. The moment seems sincere, with Gypsy's voice soft and her body language composed. However, out of nowhere, the scene shifts, and suddenly Gypsy is in Ken's arms, whispering, "I love you," while rocking a completely different hair color blonde.
Oh my god, babe! Babe!
Yeah.
Can you come here? I broke the TV.
No.
I don't know how I did it.
Lifetime edited the footage to make it appear as though Gypsy shared her feelings about motherhood and then immediately sought comfort in Ken's embrace. The smooth transition was meant to present an emotional arc, but viewers quickly realized that the change from brunette to blonde wasn't a random decision. It was a clear indicator of a manipulated timeline. Those two scenes were filmed at different times, not even in the same month. Gypsy had dyed her hair blonde earlier when she was rekindling her relationship with Ken, and only later, closer to the birth of her child, did she return to brunette. Instead of presenting the timeline honestly, Lifetime pieced these unrelated moments together, trying to maintain the image of a perfect couple.
You touched it.
I touched it. Yeah.
Did you throw?
I was cleaning and I like.
This is fake. The glass is not right. What are you doing? Why are you? Okay, yeah, nice one.
So GRB was on my page yesterday, and I know that because she blocked.
This wasn't about truth, it was about maintaining a fabricated illusion. When a network like Lifetime, which claimed to provide transparency and healing, resorts to such manipulation, it's not just a disservice to the audience's intelligence, it's a betrayal of the truth they promised to uncover. Gypsy's story was twisted for the sake of a manufactured image, and in doing so, the network erased the context that would have made her story real and relatable. Instead of showing the raw, complicated reality of her relationship, Lifetime chose to present a glossy, idealized version of her life.
I had a video that went semi-viral, wondering if Ken and GRB are still together because of the videos and the influx of questionable TikToks. Several people agreed with me.
The edited version wasn't just a poor reflection of her journey, it was a complete disservice to the audience who had been following her story. This manipulation continued throughout the show. The network's attempt to sell a perfect family narrative only made the cracks in the relationship more obvious. Viewers weren't fooled by the polished scenes. Instead, they began to scrutinize every detail: the lighting, Gypsy's hair color, even Ken's clothes, looking for the truth beneath the surface. In 2025, audiences aren't passive, they analyze everything. They rewind, pause, and dig deeper when the story doesn't add up. This time, they didn't just move on, they became amateur investigators, picking apart the inconsistencies in the show. And when a poor edit is so obvious that even TikTok users can catch it.
Also, other creators were bringing this up. Ken was in another state. GRB made this video to shut down the creators that were questioning if her and Ken were even together. And so that's all that was.
It's not just a bad mistake, it's a complete failure to respect the audience. Instead of presenting a real, raw story, Lifetime tried to cover up the rough edges, smoothing over the reality in a way that felt completely fake. One of the most uncomfortable moments came during a live stream, where Gypsy and Ken were seated side by side, attempting to present themselves as a united, happy couple. But from the moment the camera started rolling, everything felt off.
Okay.
I would eat it again.
And that's one of the things that we love doing together the most, is like trying new foods, cooking new foods at home, you know, expanding her palate to all these different worlds that she's never tried before.
I'm Gypsy,
And I'm Ken.
and this was Gypsy Tries It.
Are we for real right now? You all know that was damage control, right? We know that was damage control because we all watched the first episode, and we know that Ken made a fool out of Gypsy during the first episode. And now they need to fix it.
Ken barely looked at Gypsy, and whenever she tried to engage with him, he seemed to avoid her. He physically distanced himself from her, as if her presence was something he couldn't stand. The only physical interaction between them was a half-hearted, almost robotic hand stroke, an affectionate gesture that felt more like something you do out of habit than genuine emotion. It was awkward and mechanical, not the kind of affection you'd show someone you love. The real emotional distance between them was palpable, even though they were sitting right next to each other.
She was obviously hurt. She went into that bathroom. She was caught sniffling. We all heard it. They heard it. But you see, Ken didn't hear it. Ken didn't know she was putting on the victim act until he watched the first episode with her. And now all of a sudden, they are...
But the most telling moment came when Ken's dog, Parker, entered the frame. His entire demeanor changed. He smiled, his face lit up with warmth, and he picked up the dog, hugging it close. The joy he showed towards the dog was the real Ken, the one who wasn't pretending, the one who was genuinely affectionate. But Gypsy, she got what was left, the bare minimum. The awkward glances, the emotional coldness, the silence. In that one moment, the truth about their relationship became undeniable. Ken wasn't emotionally invested, and Gypsy was left to pretend that everything was okay.
Let's all be real right now. We all know that was damage control. Nice try, guys, but sorry, Gyp. Your man made a fool out of you. But, you know, I think it's really funny that he's treating you the way you treated Ryan. I'm just saying, there's that.
What's truly heartbreaking is that Gypsy wasn't clinging to Ken out of love. She was holding on out of fear of being left behind, fear of losing the image of the perfect family she had worked so hard to create, and fear of being forgotten. Her entire online persona was built on this fantasy of a happy family, and she was terrified of losing that image. So she continued to perform. The smiling selfies, the sweet captions, the public declarations of love, everything was part of the act.
Bro. That's that bitch. Oh my god. Like, oh,
It wasn't about real emotion anymore. It was about maintaining an illusion for the public, hoping that by continuing to show a picture of happiness, she could hold on to the family image. Gypsy's baby has become the last tie that binds her to Ken. This child isn't just a part of their family. To Gypsy, the baby has become a lifeline, a way to keep the illusion of their relationship intact for just a little longer. The desperation in Gypsy's attempts to hold everything together isn't coming from a place of malice but from panic. She believes that if Ken can't stay for love, perhaps he might stay for the sake of their child, out of guilt, or even just for the optics of it all. But deep down, Ken has already checked out.
Blanchard to the front of the stage because y'all are trying to play games and you think I don't know. I'm about to out you real quick so you know I know, okay? I want us to believe that you didn't edit anything out of it when this same scene has the same shirt on, but her hair looks completely different, the hair color and everything. This is clearly different. This is clearly...
He's not leaving with any fanfare or confrontation. Instead, he's gradually withdrawing, piece by piece. Every glance, every silence at the dinner table is a sign that he's slowly but surely detaching himself emotionally. He knows on some level that this relationship can't continue. Life with Gypsy isn't peaceful. It's filled with noise, chaos, and an overwhelming need to maintain appearances for the public. Ken has noticed the red flags, especially in how Gypsy treats Ryan, and he's not just pulling away to protect her, he's protecting himself.
Baby shower or right after the baby shower. This is clearly a whole different time. Lifetime, why are you playing in everybody's face? And also, Lifetime, I have physical proof of them breaking up. If it wasn't that, I would be...
Gypsy is acutely aware of this distance. That's why she's working overtime, trying desperately to keep everything from falling apart. Every post she shares online seems to reflect a deeper sense of urgency and desperation. It's no longer about proving their love to the world, it's about convincing herself that the love they once had hasn't already disappeared. But where does that leave them? Gypsy and Ken are no longer a couple in love. They're not even co-parenting well. They're two people stuck in a relationship built on public perception and the reality of raising a child together. Neither of them knows how to navigate this new chapter, and the world is watching as they try to maintain a facade.
So I would suggest you stop playing in my face and everybody else's face. Because it's giving bootleg TV, it's giving scam, it's giving low budget, it's giving you buy a $5 DVD on the side of the street in New York City. That's what it's giving. It's giving real low budget. Okay? I've been real silent.
Lifetime, with its heavy editing and selective storytelling, helped weave this fairy tale. But the moment real life began to intrude, everything started unraveling. The staged family strolls, the awkward live streams, the carefully curated posts, and the forced smiles, each of these are signs that the relationship has already ended, even if they're still trying to make it seem otherwise. What viewers have been watching isn't a genuine love story or a tragic breakup, it's a performance, an attempt to manage their public image. It's all about maintaining the facade, even if it means manipulating the narrative to fit the fantasy. Now it's time for the audience to decide for themselves. Is Ken emotionally gone already? Is Gypsy too afraid to let go because of her past? Did Lifetime deceive its viewers? The curtain has been pulled back, but the story isn't over yet, and we're all still watching.